You are listening to a recording of the bodacious blog post titled Blissful Ignorance, a silent endorsement with consequences, written by me, Kim.E. of isnotso.com. Please note that everything you will hear is based on my personal perspective. The responsibility lies with you to pursue and explore your own channels of information to either confirm or reject what you will hear. If information is instantly and effortlessly accessible, what's the excuse for the generally preferred blissfully ignorant state chosen by so many people? Ignorance is the silent endorsement of the despicable actions of those in power. Who initiated such power plays and caused so much destruction? Who was responsible for so much suffering and loss of human life? Yes, we can blame Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot, and any one of the many leaders who spearheaded genocide agendas that were supported by vigorous propaganda campaigns geared to achieve what they all strived for, namely absolute power, control of the masses, and of course, shitloads of money. We can blame their sick minds and provide many plausible reasons that could excuse or substantiate their behavior. Regardless of what our well-scripted, archaic history books foretell, it cannot be denied that such tyrants never got to that level of leadership through their own doing. They had massive support from the silent, influential, extremely wealthy, and rather powerful individuals, as well as numerous inadequate, greedy, power-hungry politicians who also wanted a piece of the lucrative pie. How easy it is to point out the culprits, like the Hitlers of the world, and give them some grand label that conveniently shoves the complete responsibility of their actions into their perfectly polished shoes. Not uncommon practice, especially considering that blaming others for the catastrophes in our own lives is conventional, acceptable behavior. So why the hell would we question it being done elsewhere? Our history books are filled with such despots, and sadly, so is our modern day world. The big question is, why the fuck don't we learn from past mistakes? The Plandemic has been the war without the bloody killing fields, with billions of acquiescent victims who willingly pulled up their sleeves to be injected with toxins they failed to question. The Plandemic facade is the banker world's way of resetting the soap bubble economy it had created that was, and still is, destined to pop as a result of their corrupt dealings. The worst part of the whole scenario is that the whole agenda was supported by our very own service-to-self leaders, who are obviously less interested in the well-being of their citizens and more interested in maintaining the power of their political seat. Besides that, our leaders are sadly the marionettes at the mercy of the puppeteer that collectively resembles the bankers, the shareholders, the wealthy families, and the greedy, power-hungry individuals who have weaseled their way into power structures and politics. According to the United Nations Development Programme, there are over 46,000 MPs, members of parliament, in 193 countries. We are looking at an average of 240 politicians per country who control over 8 billion people. I have never understood how the world population can be calculated, and always felt that such figures are a fictitious, manipulative tool that is skillfully used to support the overpopulation statements made by the numerous, well-known, false philanthropists who have ulterior motives and a grand design to drastically reduce the world's inhabitants. Why would they want that? Astronomical wealth, of course, and with less people there is more control. It is also much easier to divide, polarize, and conquer smaller numbers. The overpopulation theory is just as far-fetched as the global warming one is. Utter bullshit, in my personal humble opinion. Nonetheless, I will use the population number to calculate the percentage. Approximately 0.000575% of 8 billion people govern the whole world. Unbelievable that such a tiny group of incapable, untrustworthy individuals control masses of people. How is that even possible? Regardless of the numerous arguments I will reveal further on, the main reason is that we give them permission to do what they do. Besides that, we are all masters at the blame-shame game, which promotes personal stagnation and procrastination, maintains inactivity, and keeps us pointing fingers elsewhere. The blame-shame game is also the perfect deflection from ourselves and what we bring or don't bring to the table. When we are entirely focused on the behavior of others, we avoid seeing the true version of ourselves, and in so doing, we also fail to own responsibility of the personal reality we created. Rather convenient, don't you think? And all ego games, of course. Most people blame our untrustworthy politicians for the dilemma we now face. Yet I blame most people who, with their herd mentality, have obediently followed like sheep instead of questioning the common narrative. If most people had taken action against what was happening in their countries, such inadequate leaders would not have absolute control and influence over personal decisions. Most people trust blindly and never question authority. Most people sit around dinner or coffee tables to protest over glasses of wine, jugs of beer, or steamy cups of coffee or tea. Or they discuss at length with anyone willing to lend them an ear, while they mutually judge and often complain. Most people are unwilling to take action or make public statements about their true opinion because they fear losing a lucrative job, an important title, a good reputation, enjoyable perks, social connections, or in severe cases, their lives, their home, and their comfortable lifestyle. Most people obey just as they have always done during every war, civil unrest, or revolution, which is why history has repeated itself again and again. Unfortunately, most people aren't doers. I call them the complainers. Or perhaps most people strongly believe the skillfully designed propaganda machine that spews out brazen statements riddled with fear porn and hero claims from influential, false philanthropist, white-collar leaders, political and otherwise, who have the perfect fail-proof strategies that will save the world. Most people believe such people are the superheroes coming to save the day who will make their lives livable again. Yes, those false philanthropist leaders have the perfect service to self strategy that has been applied umpteen times, namely, create the problems, provide the solutions, and make shitloads of money in the process. Why don't most people question their superhero leaders? Perhaps they prefer the observer position from inside their comfy soap bubbles while they get high on hopium. I call them the dreamers. Of course, there are always the minority of people with enough courage to go against the narrative. Because they see through the strategic manipulation, they dare protest openly and publicly. If they are not officially scandalized, professionally ruined, arrested, or killed beforehand, they certainly are once such leaders are in power. Their social destruction, financial ruin, unlawful imprisonment, or execution is always a statement to the common people to fall in line and obey, or face the same death or fate. I call them the activists. Most people cling to whatever it is they believe in so dearly, even though it may be false, and have mastered their lack of openness and unwillingness to listen to the other point of view. Most people immediately judge the other person, their knowledge, and their actions. The us against them has now become the us against us. Mainstream media, with a lot of help from political friends and wealthy, influential sponsors, has once again managed to polarize the masses like so many times before. But most people remain oblivious to that reality. Either they believe they know what truth is, or they prefer the comfortable state of ignorant bliss. If we all move from us against us to us against them, our reality will change. With a united us, the them is totally fucked. With a divided us, the them will keep us in economic enslavement, perpetual grind mode, and a state of financial survival that supports them and their political ventures and barely puts food on our table. Fuck that. It is time for expanded awareness and to move past our differences. It is time for all human beings to unite together as one to create the changes we all dream of. Step out of your comfort zone and make a difference by being different. Time is an invaluable asset. Thank you so much for sharing yours with me. Much love, Kim.E from isnotso.com.